Okay.
And I think, actually, even though it's a little bit peripheral to what you were talking about, but I think actually we should take the other question also. So there we have a question on what the relations there is between culture of a country and the rate of innovation, and which countries are more innovative and not. And I would like to twist this a little bit, because you actually, you're in, it's very fortunate because you're in kind of in a unique situation also in this context, because you have been, you've been working in headquarters in the US, so you've been part of an initial innovation team within the US, so you've been exposed to innovation and the cultural context of innovation in the US, but you also now are in a different national cultural context. So I don't know whether you have any personal take on if there is there actually a difference between the relationship between national cultures and innovation activities and innovation approaches, or isn't there?
Well, I have a couple of thoughts that I would like to share. One is that countries that like to learn, like organizations that like to learn, so countries that are very open to different cultures, different ideas, that do not have as a culture the not invented here syndrome, tend to be better and innovative than others. And the second perspective is that I've come to believe that there were some books written some time ago that said, basically that, and this is something also that in terms of theory I think has some validity and some research background, throwing more resources at the organization, having some slack, having some spare time on Friday afternoons and so on, tends to create more space for breakthrough ideas and so on. I've come to believe, maybe as an effect of the crisis, that instead the opposite is true. There is a deliberate choice sometimes to starve an organization in various dimensions, which will generate really breakthrough solutions. You can starve an organization taking away people, taking away time, taking away capital, for instance, or other ways you can think of. If the conditions are very extreme, then the organization, the people in the organization have to survive, if you want, Mikkel, and have to come up with totally new ways of doing things that otherwise would have been innovated upon incrementally. So maybe countries that are starved, that are very, let me say, generally saying poor, countries that are eager to arrive, that have no time, Koreans sometimes, can be more innovative than others.
So these thoughts are actually empirically supported by the research done by the GEM, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring Consortium, that monitors entrepreneurial activities across countries. So, for example, there is a distinction between opportunity entrepreneurship and necessity entrepreneurship. If we look at the countries that churn out a lot of entrepreneurial activity from a national perspective, countries like Thailand, for example, comes out on the top of this. And this is actually quite surprising, because you would imagine that countries like the US, that traditionally have lower failure tolerance, less consensus, more individualism, would score higher. But this is actually because of the necessity entrepreneurship component that is involved. So these kind of things is kind of visible also in the national entrepreneurship statistics, looking at the Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring Consortium. So they are
in our organization, for instance, we have both the example of Brazil and India that have been extremely innovative because of being both of need and because of the way they've been managed, organization which had to rely on fewer resources. At the same time, I must admit that also competence-based innovation is very valid. And in this sense, Italy, our Italian-based research centers working on food preservation, working on food preparation, for instance, also because of the rich background of research centers, universities, background, culture, and so on, have been able to provide significant innovations around the world. So this is a different case of countries have been able to provide significant innovation because of their competence.
I would like to go a little bit back to the Whirlpool experience and the Whirlpool strategies in addressing the problems of managing innovation. If I can rephrase, kind of summarize your first point, is where you talk about kickoff, an explicit top-down commitment on the issues of innovation, of the installation of specific measurement criteria for what do we actually mean by innovation, how do we monitor information, what are the innovation results. So this is definitely one of the elements, and we would kind of find in this also in some of the research we look at. What about some of the more, I was about to say soft issues or idea generation, idea incubation, the career path for people that are involved in innovation, incentive systems, scorecards that includes a type of innovation. Is this something that has been dealt with within the Whirlpool strategies, or are these issues that are not specifically relevant? You have top-down approach. If the boss says this is our strategy, things just start happening.
A few thoughts on this question can I provide are the following. One, in terms of career path, it's true that traditionally, particularly, let me say, the scientific part of the organization, which tends to be involved in the more advanced type of research, in the creation of the technology roadmaps, in finding really the breakthrough technologies that can be then chosen upon depending on brand strategy, company strategy, investments, and so on. They tend not to have a very specific career path because, traditionally the great, let me say, inventor, scientist ends up in the traditional career path of managerial progression, ending up managing departments and bigger departments and so on, and not necessarily this is the best use of these resources from their personal point of view, sure, and also from a company point of view. Whirlpool, like many other organizations, has over time developed the career path of the scientist, and so it's possible today within the company to have very significant in terms of visibility, exposure, compensation levels, and so on, achieve a very high level within the company, staying on a specific technical career path. So that's a specific part of the organization that has been dealt with. On the soft side, one of the key principles of innovation that a large company like Whirlpool can benefit from is the fact that innovation really comes always from diverse perspectives. And so the definition of innovation teams based on maximizing the mix, this is kind of the jargon, but maximizing the mix of the inputs in terms of people background, experience, knowledge, new to the company, old to the company, different parts of the organization, and so on, is one of the key factors usually driving a significant difference in terms of the outcome. So the diversity of the team is really very important.
Do you work explicitly, because this is something that is typically true also for general for creative processes. We know that thinking new about certain issues is also linked to the way you traditionally think about it. And therefore, it's interesting. If you look at where new ideas come from, it's not always from the people that has been the longest inside the organization. It's also the people that maybe are the most new to the organization that thinks about things in a totally different manner. So I was wondering, you mentioned this yourself, the diversity, but are you dealing explicitly with creative processes in the pipeline? I mean, you have workshops where you do things where you work on these aspects, or it's part of what you need to know if you're a Whirlpool manager or an employee?
Well, one specific tool that has been used in the last many years is the tool of design visions. The design team at Whirlpool is made up of a very differentiated set of people, from people that are expert on user experience to cultural aspects to people that are really focused on trend discovery to real design work. And designers have been chartered for the last 10 years to create, let's say, what we used to call concept cars for our industry. So very far distant visions of what the future could entail, which not necessarily have to translate back into existing products and solutions, but can create a vision for the future which enables then other people to work on more down-to-earth practical solutions. So in this sense, we're using the design tool as a way to uncover new solutions, let's say.